Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Player X here with the Semi-Limited Podcast. Thank you so much for you guys tuning in every single week, checking out the pod, all the ramblings of all these crazy thoughts that we've got going on, and all these crazy people, I should say, that we have coming with us. So I appreciate all you guys for supporting and showing love, on whether it be on the platforms or on all of our social sites, whatever it may be. I always be seeing and getting tagged and all these nice, kind words about the pod, and it really does make us feel good over here that we're doing something good for you guys. And I'm just glad that it's hitting a lot harder than I thought it would be. We are the top podcast for at least 40 plus viewers last year. And we can't thank you guys enough. So we were trying to make it 80 viewers next year, which is 2024. And so, with that being said, before we get into today's episode, which we have another special guest for you guys, as well as some talking points with some new stuff going on with the Konami world. Just gotta get through all the usual things that we usually talk about. So before we get into that, please go down to the Linktree link description down below. You'll find all of our social sites on there. You'll click that link. It'll bring up a tab with all of our social sites, whether it be Facebook group, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Twitter, whatever the hell it is you guys want to follow. You be sure to go down there and follow it. We gave away 7 giveaways last year. We're trying to double that, including a giveaway for a box of Phantom Nightmare, the newest set that is releasing on basically today, the day that you guys will be hearing this, so release day. Because of time recording, it'll be a couple days from now. We have a box of Phantom Nightmare from our sponsors over there at Unplugged Gaming that we're going to be giving out when we hit 100 Discord server members. So be sure to click on that Linktree link and join our Discord, so that way you guys can be entered into that raffle. You don't have to do anything but join the Discord and be a part of it. One random member, when we hit 100, is going to be selected to get a free box of Phantom Nightmare. As long as you guys are in the United States or Canada, I will be shipping that shit out to you guys. You don't have to worry about no pricing, no payment, none of that shit. All you have to do is worry about getting in the Discord server and getting that prize. Speaking of our sponsors, shout outs to Unplugged Gaming in Manlius, New York for sponsoring the podcast. Be sure to join their Discord server as well while you're down there and be a part of their TCG communities. You can be a part of their Yu-Gi-Oh, their Magic, their Pokemon Bondi games, whatever it is you guys want to be a part of, they got it down there for you. And be sure to mention Semi-Limited Podcast when you guys are in store, and they'll be sure to hook you guys up, because we love showing Joe and all the crew over at Semi-Limited. Joe and all the crew over at Unplugged the love from Semi-Limited. And the last note that you guys usually be hearing from me is that we'll be having Brad, aka Mr. Perfect, streaming every Saturday on Twitch, which is going to be at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so the East Coast of the United States, for those who are outside of it. His Twitch will also be in that Linktree link. It'll be right below ours. You can click on it, just like Mr. Perfect Gaming or something like that. You guys can click on it. Come join his stream. He's usually deck theorizing, crafting. I think he's just found out that Master Duel today got the Snake Eyes card, so now they are set on fire. So I know during his stream he's going to be doing that a little bit, just kind of tweaking the deck, seeing what the best build is, especially with the pool advocated to the Master Duelists. So be sure to catch him once again every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now that all that is out the way, we're going to be introducing our special guest that we have tonight. He is a returning guest from last year. We had him on the podcast for the first time last year. I loved having him on. I love following his channel. He's a very, very informative duelist, and he gives out a lot of informational videos for his audience as well as the general public. And I just wanted to bring him on. We were chit-chatting, playing a little Fort Whizzle the other day, and we were chit-chatting about some of the things, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just bring him on and see what we can continue the conversation here. So without any further ado, I want you guys to give a big old welcome to my man, VengefuShadowz.
Thank you so much, Player X. I super appreciate that. This is VengefuShadowz here, and we do a lot of videos on YouTube, and that is for VengefuShadowz with the 0WZ. I know it's a weird name. I was 15 when I made the gamer tag. We just stuck around with it because that's what I'm known as. So, but yeah, we just do a bunch of market watches as well as kind of like meta analysis as far as like text to be using against the meta deck. A lot of how to beat videos. So like whenever the latest meta deck does drop, a lot of players are kind of wondering what they can do to beat the deck, especially when they're not able to either afford the deck or they need help in the mirror matches. And then just a bunch of other stuff, like including, just keeping an eye on the OCG, because even without Maxi, a lot of the time, it reflects over here what we see over there. But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me on, and big shout out to you, just because, you're the man, just getting all of us together, just all of us introverts kind of keeping us in the loop.
Absolutely, I try to be as including as I can, because even when I was younger, being in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just a really inclusive kind of game. Like, you always want to be around your friends. Even on tonight, the day of recording is Wednesday. We usually have what's called kitchen locals, where a bunch of the local guys from the Syracuse area will all come over to my house. It used to be in my it used to be in my kitchen, where we used to have a big old table, sat like 8 people. We would all just get games going on, chit chat, vibe, trade, talk, socialize, all that stuff. It was basically just the locals, but in our kitchen. And since I've converted my living room into the podcasting room, and I got a way bigger table, it's like 6 feet now, and we can fit way more people in the living room, the kitchen locals has been popping up. So I guess I would say that a lot of people do tend to click up and like link as this game progresses, not only just for the bettering of themselves, but just for like bettering of themselves, like mentally socializing, being involved with a community, talking to people when they need it, getting advice and help when they need it as well, outside of the Yu-Gi-Oh, vibes or whatever. So it's always good to have that community around, and I definitely do enjoy adding on to it, and including people like you who have your own community super well knit as well. So.
Oh yeah, and I mean, especially with, like I said, like a lot of time with with the COVID really messed things up, and I mean, it's just good to see that things are kind of returning back to people socializing again. I think we adapted pretty well, given that like we had Discord available to us, and now we're just kind of using that to, even without the COVID, it's like, well, wait, we can just kind of be at our houses and connecting,
And I didn't even get into Discord until like last year, like 2022, latter end of 2022 is when I got into Discord. So like, I'm, as most people know, like a boomer when it comes to all this technology shit, so I'm still learning myself. But yeah, absolutely, inclusions of like apps like this, that Discord, or even like the games online platforms like DB and all that stuff still allow people to stay connected to the game even when we couldn't connect with ourselves, so that's always very good to see.
No, absolutely. Oh my gosh, shout out to DB, man.
DB grinders out there, right?
Oh,
but getting into today's episode, we have to basically a couple new reveals that we wanted to talk to you guys today about, that Konami has decided to graciously leak us with. We have things like the new the new OTS 24 leaks that are just coming out. That are basically being released, I think, end of this month, I want to say, if not end of this month, beginning of next month. And we also have a couple of the other things going on, such as like the new cards being introduced in Infinite Forbidden. Some of the jump promos were being talked about and all that stuff. We just have a whole bunch of new things from Konami. So starting off today, I want to talk about the OTS leaks that we have from Konami themselves. But the twist is that they gave us the cards that they were printing, but not the rarities that they are giving it to us in. Just the card name. So the only card that we knew already that was coming was Ultimate Rock of the Vanquished Souls, because we were announced that last year in 2023. But for those who don't know, we now have the announcement of Pearly Sleepy Memory, Harpy's Feather Duster, Serapha or Saphira, the Queen of Dragons, and even Chaos Angel is now making its way into the set. And although we don't know what rarities, I'm kind of excited to see some of these cards in here at least. I don't know what the Saphira is, but I guess the Chaos Angel we needed. It's always good to see printings of older cards like Harpy's Feather Duster. I guess Sleepy Memory was only a common printing, if I'm not mistaken. So this might be the super rare to get it in. And hopefully Konami doesn't drop the ball and make it another common. But what do you think about the cards being reprinted? And what rarities do you think that they'll get as well?
Yeah, so definitely very excited with the OTS packs, and I've been overall excited with how they've managed the OTS packs, because they have not just been reprinting super old cards, but they have been kind of giving meta relevant staples to us. We've seen the Fenrir reprints, the Sprite reprints, like kind of going all the way back to like Colossus. So we're kind of seeing that kind of reflected in this pack with the with the Chaos Angel, that I do believe is going to be ulti, just kind of out the get-go. I don't think they're going to put that as a super. For the Harpy's Feather Duster, personally, I would love an ulti. I definitely think we will eventually see an ulti, but I think for this one, they will give us a super Harpy's Feather Duster and kind of have a next, like a little reveal given to us maybe later on. But, you know,
Okay.
if we get an ulti Harpy's Feather Duster, honestly, I would be super excited about that and be picking those up. For the Pearly, I do believe the memory is going to be a super rare. And then for the Saphira, I mean, it could be cool as a holo, but it would be nice. I mean, it would probably just be a common in the pack, just so players have a lot of availability to it. So if they're going into the voiceless voice deck, they definitely have access to the Olders.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it already comes as an ultimate rare, correct?
Correct. Yes, it does come in as an ultra and an ulti. And real quick, I'm pulling it real quick so I see the ulti. And then aside from that, there's an ultra and another ultra from a mega pack. So yeah, that's 3 holographics it has. I mean, again, it could come as a super, but I would honestly just be more inclined to see it come as a common. So then a lot of players have access to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never mind when Konami reprints a card as a common because at least if they're going to kill the value, they're not killing the value that much. Where if you own the card in a higher rarity, you're still going to retain some value on it. Whereas if they go ahead and reprint this card as another ultimate rare, but it already has an ultimate rare, like Konami has sometimes done,
oh
then
yeah,
you're not only going to kill the value of the ultimate rare, but you're also going to nuke the value of the one of the ultimate rares, one of 3 ultimate rares that comes in the set, and down to almost nothing.
Oh yeah, and like I think the one time they've really reprinted something in the same rarity, even with the same artwork, is actually the Vanity's Fiend, if I'm correct.
Yes,
Like, because it had
Yep.
an ulti, and then it came out, you know, in the tournament pack. So
In the first OTS pack, yep.
yeah, crazy. And since then, they like did Ultra Art Cyber Dragon and stuff, but I'm pretty sure everyone didn't mind that one. But hopefully they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I didn't mind because they did a different artwork. I feel as though if they would have done the regular artwork, I would have been a little bit more
Oh yeah.
like
No, yeah, I don't want to
taking
see.
onto it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see a Vanity's Fiend again. The Cyber Dragon was fine. I actually very much preferred the second one as well. So
Yeah. Are there any cards that you think might find it or pop its way up in there that maybe hasn't been leaked to us yet? Because like, even if these are like the quote unquote like high rarity cards in the set, like we could get an ulti Duster, we could get an ulti Chaos Angel even. I still think that a lot of these are going to be supers. I think that maybe one of these 4 will probably be an ulti, and that leaves one more slot for maybe cards like Evenly Matched, maybe a Soul Release coming up in the new format.
yeah,
Like common printings and 1 super.
no, the Soul Release is honestly that's a very good take. That or like a different dimension ground could, like, you know, some of those could sneak their way
Yeah,
in here. Whether different dimension ground like as a common, like you said, Soul Release as a super or a common in here. Both would be amazing. We do see Soul Release and DDG both have super rare printings already, so I could definitely see them just put them in as commons so people have them as side deck options. Again, if we don't see the Harpy's Feather Duster as an ulti, I think at some point in time they're going to sneak in a high value secret into one of these ultis, whether it's this one or the next pack for the OTS packs, and that would be either the SP or like some part of the Diabell Star package, whether it's the Wanted or the Diabell Star herself. They might wait a whole set to do that because everything's kind of crazy with the prices, but as we saw with Thrust, and especially with droplets, they really take those high dollar, especially like the spell cards, and they upgrade them to ultis, and they put them in this pack to just get more people to turn out for their OTS events.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if we do just see some sort of a late reveal for a money card, because that's even what they did with Thrust when they like hinted at it. They like really didn't tell us what it was gonna be in until it was like a little bit later. So even if it's not this one, I do believe we're gonna have a high dollar card in one of these OTS.
No, actually, I am way more inclined to agree with that. Just because I know Konami, if it wasn't last year, it was probably the year before when Darkwing Blast came out. We had Fenrir and
Correct.
Unicorn and all that stuff, and then we had the ulti announcements for the set after that, and we had a bunch of those cards in there. Like almost every single deck in the that meta was getting reprinted in the OTS as a higher rarity. We had Ultimate Blues for sprites.
Yes.
We had Tier Elements Rhino Heart for tiers. Kashtira Fenrir was catchy one. So yeah, you know what? Diabell Star itself being an ulti would actually be kind of cool. Even like cards like a Flambird, maybe like an ulti Flambird would be kind of cool as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might be the wave that Konami might be riding this set for sure.
Yeah, and what they seem to do too is, like you mentioned with the Fenrir, is they not only hit like, okay, so blue at that time is an older secret that's still holding money. Okay, so they reprinted blue as an ulti, but they also was Fenrir in the same pack as blue, if I'm correct? Like those
No,
were
no,
the
no.
same.
Fenrir
Were they
was
not? Okay.
yeah, Fenrir was Darkwing Blast and blue was
Well,
Power
oh, I meant
Rangers.
OTS pack,
Oh,
OTS
they
pack.
were in the same OTS. Yeah, it was
Okay, okay,
Fenrir,
yeah,
blue,
and
Rhino.
blue and something else. Yeah, yeah. So like basically at that point, it seemed like they were reprinting an older set secret and a newer set ultra or something to that effect. Okay, to kind of keep the value or the availability for the Fenrir's out there. So it wouldn't surprise me. We're gonna see them reprint the Angel. That's kind of an older staple that some players still need, but it's gonna just kind of make the access to it a little bit greater till we see a mass reprint. So that I do think we haven't seen the super high dollar ulti yet. I mean, I guess Chaos Angel is expensive, but it's still not a hard hitter like a Thrust or a Droplets or a
Correct.
Fenrir.
And I think it was only expensive because it was the only good card in that
Yes.
set. So it's like not only like one of the best secrets of the box, but it's actually one of the best cards that you could pull. Period. So that's what really kind of helped it retain its value, along with the Labyrinth players having to play 3 copies for their extract builds. So not only was it the best card of the set, but you had to play 3 because you didn't want to banish, you wanted access to it in your extra deck. But yeah, as you said, I think that this might not be the $100 ultimate rare, but this will definitely at least retain a little bit of value. I think it'll probably settle somewhere where like I would expect the ulti Zeus to be, or at least fall down to, or right around that $35-$40 range. But I wouldn't be surprised if it were to get a little extra love from that. I mean, Chaos Angel is a pretty decent card. 2023 was definitely the year of synchroing, and although we're getting into the Age of Fire, this might be a good way to combat that with cards like Chaos Angel. So you never know.
No, and then the Chaos Angel, especially, and if it is like where we do see the Harpy's Feather Duster, Chaos Angel ulti prints, then obviously both of those will be pretty chase ultis. But once you got the Harpy's Feather Duster, people are just going to be chasing after the Chaos Angel, and that would like kind of inherently probably make it more valuable if there's not like another chase card ulti to kind of combat it. And I think it would settle like a little higher at the initial start of the set, and then maybe settle down a little bit lower once we see more reprints happen for the Chaos Angel initially.
No, I can agree with that. Yeah, but Konami is, they're crazy. The motherfuckers will do.
Oh yeah, they're psycho,
want,
bro. Yeah, anything they want, man.
You cannot account for them or estimate them or think that you got them in all figured out, because then they'll just throw a
they switch it up on purpose, man. They really do. They really do.
Especially with the speed at which they reprint cards. Like, you were probably being facetious when you were talking about maybe an SP being in there, but shit, you never know. They might put a fucking SP in there, Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm not like really. It wouldn't surprise me that much because, like I said, they'd really like to put the chase card secrets or the money cards in there just kind of as an upgrade. So players that have them and want them, like the money players, like they can go out and get the chase cards of them. It's just adding more chase cards to their binder. They don't mind if it gets reprinted as an ulti. They got secrets.
No, absolutely. And then moving on to other newer things that we have going on here tonight, that we also wanted to talk about some of the new cards that were leaked to us from Konami from Infinite Forbidden, which is the core set going on after Legacy of Darkness, or what is it? Legacy of whatever the fuck it is.
Destruction, I think.
Legacy of Destruction. I know. I knew there was already a Legacy of Darkness out there or something like that. So Legacy of Destruction. Yeah. One of those older sets for you guys. So now we have, after Legacy of Destruction, we have Infinite Forbidden, and it's mainly, I don't want to say DM support retrains, as everyone was I guess whoop-de-doo, everyone doesn't really care, but one of them being supported explicitly is Exodia. So Exodia is getting support. I don't know if Jeff was doing something or writing letters over there, Jeff Leonard, to Konami, trying to get Exodia some more support after those YCS finals, especially in the stream. But he definitely is making some sort of wave out there, because this support was actually kind of good. I'm not going to lie. But also, again, it looks like we're getting more dual monster support, which is basically just the Exodia, the first 5 sets, I think, like, obviously the Dark Magician, the Blue Eyes, yada, yada, yada. Did you look at any of the cards that were leaked to us from this set yet? Or are you basically new to all the cards coming out?
I was watching the reveals, like literally live, not understanding anything that was being said in the stream and enjoying every moment of it. So I
Yeah,
like, yeah, I
this
like
shit looks
had it.
cool.
Oh, bro, I had it like notify me when it went live. It's just like, Nani? Like, just
Yeah, that ass.
immediately. Yeah, so it's amazing. But okay, so these cards look okay. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're gonna be able to bust out the Exodia, I mean, it's a formidable card. You're not gonna insta lose playing an Exodia deck, but I don't think they're gonna be like hyper meta warping for people to be like, all right, the main deck Exodia, I went 7-0 and I'm gonna be in the top of this next YCS. You know, I don't think we're gonna be seeing that. But it's nice. It's kind of a nice little intro that kind of gets the hype going for that next set. I don't think they're gonna obviously make the entire set all about like a DM reprints or anything. I think this is kind of what they're going to premiere with because it does get the hype going, especially given it is an Exodia, set. Anytime there's an Exodia reveal, everyone freaks out because I mean they're giving support to one like an insta win deck,
Yeah,
which they don't normally
yeah,
do. But
an alternative win condition deck. Yes.
Forbidden Infinite. I think we're going to be seeing different types of archetypes in here. I believe M. Cole mentioned he would be really hyped if we saw things such as like Numeron or some sort of like Utopia support in that set as well. Just kind of given what it would be like a pun on the name as well with the pack. But the set itself, as far as the cards that have been revealed, it's nice interruption for Exodia, but I don't think it's going to be meta warping overall. But
Yeah,
we
I don't
haven't
think it's
seen what
going to
else
be
is
meta
in there.
warping at all. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I
yeah.
don't think it's going. Jeff might have some fun in the lab with it, but that's about all. I don't expect it to be like when the OCG first had it and it was in everyone's fucking like
No,
locals
yeah, yeah.
tournaments like that. It was just everywhere. Although it is a cool retrain, I will give him the fact that the coolest thing about the retrains, if some people haven't seen the cards yet, is it reminds me similar of when they retrained Gate Guardian, because I actually thoroughly enjoy the Gate Guardian deck, even though it's a piece of shit. It's still fun, and the mechanics are at least unique enough to keep it interesting. But what they did was they took the cards from the anime and made it into physical cards. So like when one of the Paradox brothers was playing against Joey and Yugi, one of their monsters had stepped on a trap, and the Paradox brother had physically said, "Ha, you activated my trap card," and flipped the monster Jirai Gumo. So we're like, nigga, that is definitely not a trap card. You know what I'm saying? This A plus A is not equaling B over here.
Hey
So,
man,
yeah. So, but they went and made a trap card that has Jirai Gumo in the name, so that way they can say, "You've activated my trap card, Jirai Gumo." You know what I'm saying? So like that made sense to me. It's like, all right, they said it in the anime, it didn't make any sense, but now in the TCG, it kind of does make sense. And I say all that to say that the retrains for the forbidden cards are actually really cool because the monsters, the new support that they're getting, one of them is like a golem and stuff like that that helps you search and shit like that. But they're all retrains of other vanilla monsters that are released within the first couple sets of Yu-Gi-Oh! So we have the Millennium Golem, that's a vanilla level 6 monster that now has an effect. We have the Swengen, or however you pronounce that one motherfucker, that's like a level 8 or 9, who just sits there with like a merchant bag on his back. We now have a Millennium Shield reprint. We now have a Bird Feather reprint. Like all of these cards now come with effects. And I think that that's kind of cool because not only was the Forbidden monsters themselves vanillas, but now they're kind of taking all these other vanillas and giving them effects and kind of bringing more life to them in a way that most people wouldn't see.
they're gonna give us Moki Moki support, is what you're saying, and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
Moki Moki's
glorious.
coming in.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like
man.
all of these cards, like you even say like what is it? Fiend Reflection or the new Millennium Moon Maiden. Those are all retrains of just the vanilla monsters that came out before them. And I think that that's actually the coolest part of this Exodia gimmick is that not only does the Exodia monsters themselves play as normal monsters, but they're now getting other normal monsters involved and even giving them effects and allowing the archetype to kind of grow and see where it goes from there. That's just one thing I can kind of give them. It may not be a good archetype, but at least the innovation and like the thought process behind it was executed, I think, at a good pace.
Well, they capitalize hardcore off nostalgia, and I mean, we complain about it, but we love it. We really do. It wouldn't be the same. And it's like even with the like the Daruma Karma cannon, like it's just like the little vanilla monster, except he's turned into a really insane trap card. Yeah,
Yeah.
so just stuff like that. No, I definitely do appreciate it. And then I mean, even with like the newer ones we have, like with what was it, the Soul Exchange stuff or like the spell
Mhm.
cards or what have you, those are
Yeah, those are the
interesting.
jump promos we're gonna get into. Yeah, but even
Yeah.
like the mementos were all
Oh
just vanilla
yeah.
monsters that
Yeah.
got retrained with effects, and I think that
N-
that's kind of cool.
No, exactly. And I hope they do continue on the trend. And I'm pretty sure they will continue on that trend because it's been pretty popular. Like maybe, we'll get, Harpies with effects or, more Harpy support in the future, even for like
Ah, that'd be a
nostalgia
cool
stuff,
one.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
like
do I
that.
do think we will. And like especially as we move out of the fire, because we know eventually we're gonna get like the water support as well as like, one
Yeah,
day
it'll
we'll
be
get
the
more
air
wind
water.
stuff, but
Water
yeah,
benders they'll be top tier for sure.
it will be. It really will
Abyss
be.
guy also have its buyout. Don't worry.
Oh my god, we're gonna get title back. They're waiting. They're waiting to give us that title.
Yeah,
It's gonna
I
be
think they're
something.
waiting with open arms for title to come back. I think people just want to play Dragon Ruler format with all of them just at one, just see what the deck does. But I mean, hey, whatever they want to do with their time and effort, hey, that's on you guys. I'm not gonna stop you guys from doing what you want to, but just know that that shit's stupid.
Yeah, they gotta put them to 3. That's what they need to do.
And as you said, speaking of the new cards coming out, we even have new promo cards. The jump promos that we've been getting announced and released have been getting very, very weird in the sense that they all feel like they're retrains as well, and retrains that we didn't really need. You brought up the spell card Soul Exchange, and there's also a spell card that they have called Spell Card Monster Reborn and Spell Card Soul Exchange, and they have different ish effects than the originals, and they actually have alternative arts, but like it's just super niche how they're getting. Like obviously the Monster Reborn one has Dark Magician on it, and it does something where like you can set a quick play from your deck or even add it to your hand, and then if you set it, it can be activated that turn. So it's kind of like a triple tactics thrust, but for quick plays, I guess. And the Soul Exchange card was really weird too. Like again, another alternative art, which I kind of like that they're doing more of that. But like they should have changed the name at least, like to keep the same name, Soul Exchange and Monster Reborn, and then change the effects even with new arts. I think that they should have even just tweaked the name even a little bit, like Soul Exchanged, to make it past tense, or Monster Reborn, whatever it is. But like to rename the cards like the exact name of the old ones and then change the effects, I think is a little weird to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand that. We'll see how it gogoes over in the TCG. They'll probably just keep it though. Honestly, the names, it's whatever for me, but I do understand what you're kind of getting at. It's kind of like, all right, that's not much effort given in that. But I mean, I also kind of understand on their end because these are like kind of the parts in the anime that they are activating these cards.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of do see this trend even continue with things like brain control or things kind of that nature. Because it looks like even with the Monster Reborn, like I think we all know that in Yu-Gi-Oh! There are certain cards that go on that ban list and they kind of sit on there a little longer than they need to, or like even with some of the cards they've eroded, like
Mhm.
in our game, they like Brain Control is just like the perfect example because it was gone and then it was like eroded and brought back and it was horrible. And then it's like, all right, now we literally have Change of Heart at 1 and Mind Control at 3, and it's like the fact that we even have one Change of Heart, it's like Brain Control never needed to actually be eroded. So
Yeah.
it's like, as far as those cards are concerned, I would actually be excited to see them rebrand that card as something that can be played again. But for like the Monster Reborn and the Soul Exchange, I don't know. Again, it's just like the nostalgia base that they're catering to as always. But the card itself for like Monster Reborn, there are different effects. So again, it's like I get the name thing, but the effects themselves, when I first read them, I didn't like them that much. I'll be honest. I didn't really think they were going to be like that decent, and they might not be mained in anything like hyper meta. But cards like the spell card Monster Reborn, it's actually not horrible given that it's a quick play because it's kind of like a makeshift bestial in a way where they start targeting anything in their graveyard to revive or bring back or do whatever with. You can actually kind of steal it from their graveyard. And now I know you don't get the effect off and you can't attack with it, But I mean, just taking anything out of their grave and having it on your board, either as a wall or even since it's a quick play, you can play it on your turn, you can play it on their turn. You can even steal resources to kind of use for your combos. And since a lot of players are running kind of going to be like mirror matchy with the fire decks, or as like the meta kind of narrows down, having availability to specific monsters that are kind of your archetype can be beneficial as well. And then like Soul Exchange is another one that I actually really like this card because it's not a meta card, okay? And someone's reading that and they're like, all right, this sucks, or someone's like,
Where
they're
does
just
it
gonna
fit?
tribute. Yeah, it's like, oh well, they're just gonna tribute summon as well. Well, no one plays tributes anymore half the time, so it's not like your opponent's just gonna get a random tribute off unless they're gonna like double tribute like Flameburst Dragon. But also, the monster you tribute summon can't be tributed, so don't worry about it going away. And then number 3, can I summon a Slifer off this thing? Or something like weird. Can I just? I'm serious. Can I just tribute 3 of your monsters and have a monster just blow up anything anytime it's summoned under like 2K? Like that sounds awesome. But like or like summon like a Light and Darkness Dragon, summon anything. I mean, it's just like for those Monarch decks or Majesty Fiend decks or anything like this, it's a spot removal. You get a nice little summon off of it, and you can do multiple monsters. That's the thing that's like really nice about this card is you get to just tribute multiple monsters off your opponent's board. And
yeah, absolutely.
You don't target at all either, which is really nice. So
it reminds me of that Floowandereeze card. What is it? Unexplored Winds.
Okay,
because they can distribute. This seems like a better one. So I wish it was a quick play. If you could quick play this, it'd be
oh
crazy.
my god, yeah, it'd be insane.
I think it'd be busted.
Yeah, that would be nuts. But I mean, even like you mentioned though, you have thrust. It's a thrust target. So in a way, like that potentially is even more devastating because a lot of people are like, oh, it's just going to get hit with the Omni Negate. But if you are able to bait out their, monster negate or spell negate and you activate thrust, search this, activate it, and then you can just tribute into monsters, like that's not horrible. Like I said, you're not going to be seeing this in all the hyper meta decks or anything, but for those rogue variants that really are reliant on tribute summons and they're out there, especially like the domain decks that just want to, burn the world down, like this isn't too bad for it.
Yeah, and honestly, I find myself liking it a little bit more the more I'm reading it and thinking about it. Like Konami's definitely trying. I don't know if they're succeeding the best, but they're definitely trying to give going second a little bit more of an edge. Like so that we are not just so, oh, I lost die roll, cool, I lost a round, more or less. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, absolutely. And that's like we are seeing them, like you said, like they are trying so hard to actually give them cards to help them go second and build up go second decks, because if we don't see that happening, I do think that like if we do see a new Master Rule come out eventually, it will be heavily catered towards like helping go second decks, rather that's like not, maybe you don't have your initial draw phase but you start with your 6 cards, so you have more. I think it's like a 7% increase of opening up a 3 of hand trap in a 40 card deck, you know. Exactly. So it's like something like that would like really benefit going second. But we just seeing, like you're saying, like Konami is just really trying to fix it on their own without having to change the rules of the game again. But I don't know, and I'm liking it. I think they're doing a good job. And then also with the going first combo decks they are releasing, we're not seeing them be as like shut out of the game. Like it's not going to be like, all right, I have a Baron, I have something that negates spells, and this guy negates all your monster effects and triple on Appaloosa. Like it does occur, but it's not as consistent as we were seeing in like the original Dragon Link and things like that. Now it's like, all right, I can bounce a monster, I can return this to the hand, I can shuffle this and summon a monster and put that in the spell zone. But these are all things that you can play around, and there's some interaction that is like involved. It's kind of more of a back and forth instead of like, I just play, you don't.
And they're also creating these ways because we're getting, I guess OCG is getting this first, but we'll eventually get this. And hopefully it's at a time that we're in the midst of Fire, Nation, where all they want to do is destroy shit. So and they want to be destroyed as well. So this is a nice little way of like outing certain boards. Like, all right, let's say I opened a Brick, I opened a Flamberge. Okay, let's say I opened a Diabell Star. Okay, let's say I opened one of these higher level hand traps or whatever like that. Maybe let's just say a Phantasme or something. All right, cool. I can activate this spell card, which is going to immediately let me to tribute summon. It doesn't count for my normal summon or set. And I could tribute my opponent's monsters for it. That's kind of crazy. I think that's a way to like board wipe, clear towers that Eska monsters, because obviously most of them are say they're unaffected, but tributing is part of a requirement as a summoning, condition. So they're obviously going to be affected by that. And this is just a cool way of like outing certain cards and breaking boards in a way that most people aren't really adapt or ready for.
Yeah. Oh no, this turns your dimension shifter into a Kurikara. So okay, not really. It doesn't get all the awesome effects off, but it does tribute off the monster. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then like
it gets it off the board for sure.
And like you said, it hits the tower cards. It doesn't target. It's not affecting it. You're just tributing off their monster, and like multiple of them if you have a high level. So like you said, like the more you read it, the more you're like, wow, it's not that
That's terrible.
bad.
It's not terrible.
Yeah. Like it can definitely get that moment in there where the opponent's just like, wait a minute. Oh, what was that? Like,
there'll be a deck for it. I understand why there's Blue Eyes on the card now, because it's a level 8 monster that's hard to bring out tribute summon wise. You need to usually special it, but it's a good representation for the card. I think that there's some way a deck or a format for it. Like, it's almost, I say the same thing with cards like Ultimate Slayer as well, where it may not be saying play right now, but that doesn't mean that there's a format where sending for cost a card from your extra deck to bounce non-targeting another card from your opponent controls. I think that's pretty cool, and we'll see a format soon.
Oh yeah, and I am wholeheartedly under the assumption we're going to be seeing Monarchs come back in again at some point in time here. I mean, we just saw the dual Monarch, but was it the Fire Shadow one?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they just kind of debuted that randomly and just didn't do anything after that. Like, I really do think at one point we will see Monarchs as well, because like they were a very good going first and second variant as well, and I think that is like a strong indication of like what they can do with the game, like when we do see that, because as we saw, like they were the extra deckless deck, and again, I am interested in seeing like if Konami would be able to make them viable even.
Yeah, like what would they have to do to make the deck or even the archetype like playable? Not even like as a deck by itself, but maybe even an engine in other decks, or maybe they make more wind beasts to be searched and played with Fluunderies instead of just Mega Raiza. You know what I'm saying? Like there's other things, other decks out there. Maybe a fire one that they could use that when it's popped or destroyed, it can bring something back, or maybe add a different card or something like that. You never know. Add a card from Banish Zone, special summon something out, something crazy.
Yeah, anything at this point. I mean, it's been too long since we have had Monarch support, and right now it's like if you play the domain deck, you're essentially just playing a floodgate deck where you're just like domain, summon Majesties. Please don't have the out. If you have the out,
please don't Dark Ruler me.
Yeah, you just immediately die for anything.
Please don't have set rotation.
Yeah, we need a little bit of love on that part for that.
I can understand that.
Slower decks.
But speaking of cards that will be basically in our meta, like, we have a lot of new cards coming out, but are there any new tech cards or anything like that you like for this format right now? I mean, I know that Phantom Nightmare is now legal. We've got cards like the Iron Thunder or the Solemn Thunder that some people are calling it. That's the new Solemn Judgment card. Even cards like Solemn Scolding, and what Hani, one of our guests from last week, said that Solemn, Warning is coming back into the format as well. So I know some people are even doing things like dropping from the main deck just so their opponent can't heat it back and then go into Promethean Princess that way. I know that's like we talked about earlier, some people are including Soul Release and Thrust into their side decks, and other graveyard disruptors, like we said earlier, different dimension ground and things that will just banish for the turn, maybe certain cards. I know D-Fissures being tacked into a lot of the Kashtira builds, just because it's just that Macro Cosmo is just too strong for this format. But is there anything that you see going on that you really like, that you think that people should be like, weary of?
When you were mentioning definitely with the different dimension ground and Soul Release, I think those are like the big two that we're going to be seeing played, because they just really hit all the meta decks right now. For the voiceless voice build, we've actually been seeing them start to tech in the Saravis into their builds. I believe Pack was actually doing that the other day, and like a lot of them were using the Odd Eyes kind of ritual, but I believe the Ancient and Ascended is a little bit of a better route, because you protect your normal summons from the high-end hand traps like the Effect Failures and the Infinite Permanences that are going to be floating around, as well as if you're able to bring it to the board, and you can in that deck, you actually have some monster summon disruptions as well. So that tech, I think, is going to be heavily played the more people learn Voiceless Voice is actually like viable. Shout out to Mr. Kodak, which is a buddy of mine that streams. He's a real good player. You'll hear me talk about him all the time. But he has been teching Thousand Eyes Restrict with instant fusion in his Snake Eye build, and it does put in a lot of work. Like a lot of people think he goes into Millennium Eyes, but no, Thousand Eyes Restrict, especially if they have a monster in it, like if they have two monsters and one of them is in that like relinquished zone for the extra deck, or you know what I mean, like whenever you summon the relinquished Anima, you suck it up. So you can Thousand Eyes, hit one of their monsters, go into the Anima, hit the other monster, and then if you're ever able to bring back the Thousand Eyes, you know, because it is level 1, so certain builds are able to do that, you actually are able to lock out the opponent as well from attacks, because if you're putting it in the spell trap zone, you can summon it back with the ability. You actually cut them out of the attack if they're going into the battle phase, and you quick effect that. So that's a nice little tech I've seen played, and a lot of players, like, I'll be honest, like the moment he's like did that on Dueling Book, like he was like activate instant fuse, they're like all right, and he's like Thousand Eyes absorb, and they're like OMG, what, like what is that? Yeah, they're literally freaking out. Yeah,
WTF, mate.
Yeah, and then so we also have this is, again, this kind of goes back to like this isn't going to be in everyone's deck. This is more for like Runic players. But we've been seeing Light and Darkness Dragon getting a lot of hype over in the OCG, and slowly but surely probably gonna see a few things in the TCG, probably not like a ton, but if a lot of builds are able to bust out the Light and Darkness Dragon, it's kind of just like the makeshift Appaloosa, where you're just putting in all sorts of work with the negate, just kind of burning out their resources until they're not actually able to kill you. But, you know, I think that is just something we're going to start seeing a little bit more, is the Light and Darkness Dragon. And the last card is something that is in the hyper meta right now, but it's like the World Sea Dragon Zelantis. And I'm just honestly just glad to see that card is getting some play, because when it first came out, no one was really playing it. But I don't know if you actually have seen the OTK with it, but like once they bust out the World Sea Dragon, they're able to just like, you know, kind of banish the board, summon everything back, and since it actually summons monsters back, I believe that is able to, like, they're able to trigger the Promethean Princess in the graveyard. Yeah, and they just completely just wreck the opponent in one turn. And honestly, I love that type of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's nice seeing those old cards that just completely slept on being used in like an FTK.
Absolutely. So, it reminds me kind of like how Orcus used to use Borosword Dragon to go for game back at Charles format, where you just saw, all right, cool, Dengirsu send, summon or link everything into a sword, summon Gizmek, attack with Gizmek, attack with Boral, turn Gizmek for game, and then attack again with Boral. So like things like that definitely warm my heart when you see like innovation to a point where, like, all right, yeah, I got this down to a T. If you leave one monster on the field, I'm gonna kill you regardless. Like that's crazy to me.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, even I want to see the person who like first thought of it, like when they're sitting there and just like, all right, if I link this, I'll go into the Phoenix, and that will get me into the World Sea, which will trigger the for me. It's just like, all right, man.
No, I wonder if it's for real, like for all those fans out there who know what Always Sunny is. When Charlie was sitting there talking about Pepe, and and he was basically the forefront meme of like the conspiracy theory. Yeah, it's just him sitting down there putting everything, with the board, putting it all together. It's got to be something like that, where they're just sitting there cracked out, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, wired up at 3 o'clock in the morning, scrolling through Dueling Nexus or like the card pool on Nexus or Neuron or something like that, just trying to figure out ways to make cards work and shit. It's got to be something like that.
Just like, bro, look at this. Stands up. There's monster drinks just falling all over, you know.
Like big facts, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like, even look at Jesse Cotton. That man definitely looks like he's been putting his face into the Yu-Gi-Oh grind. He just don't care about nothing else except for getting these cards to work, you know?
He's in the trenches, man. He's in the trenches.
Exactly. Sometimes you just don't care. I honestly feel as though they, on a side note, that they do my man Jesse Cotton so wrong. All the pictures I see of Jesse Cotton,
they're so horrible.
They're so unflattering. It's like, why would you guys post that one? You have like really 4 or 5 other choices, and you picked that. The only funny one was when he was playing, I think, a South American YCS or something like that, where it wasn't announced, and there was a picture of his reaction when he got shifted in Game 3. And it was like him put his eyes up on his opponent.
Yes.
And that was the only funniest picture I think that they've seen. But every other picture they take of him is like super out of context, and like he just they didn't even like give him a second to like set up for a picture or anything like that. They just slipped in on him and like, all right.
They don't even give him like one of those cool Konami pictures either, like that everyone else has that I've
Yeah,
seen.
dead
You know what I
ass.
mean?
Hey, where's his
Come
bobblehead?
on,
Come
man!
on.
Like, give him a bobblehead. Like,
Big
no, you're
facts.
right. They do him so wrong. The picture you're talking about, was that the one where he's like caption this or something?
Yeah,
Like, I
all
think he was trying to have
because
people
like
caption
him.
it.
A lot of them were like when he's in the finals playing against someone, but like he's got his mask up, like they didn't. It's like an unflattering angle. Like they're not even giving him a heads up that they're taking the picture. They're just taking like a non-knowledge fucking picture, and it's just like, yeah,
Probably like
you guys
round
can do way better than
12.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dead ass. It's like after
it's like round 12,
19 rounds, and these motherfuckers are just in his face. Just get a picture.
Yeah.
It's gotta be what the paparazzi's like, right?
Oh man, no, except worse because it's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, it's worse because no one else cares but like 5 people.
It's just holy hell, yeah, it's insane. Nah, get him a good picture.
Yeah, I think the last thing we're gonna be talking about today, which is the last new thing that's come from Konami, will be what was talking about. I think we briefly talked about it on the episode we had with Heart of the Podcast. So shout outs to them for coming on last week, and be sure to check out their podcast as well on Spotify platforms. But we briefly talked about the Tokyo Dome revealing the Konami animation department that they recently put together. And they had recently unveiled the Yu-Gi-Oh! Chronicles, which looks to be a series of like either mini episodes or basically collabs, or maybe like montages or installments of Yu-Gi-Oh's most interesting archetypes and lores from the game. That I'm talking about, they had 6 samurais going at it, Shien versus the Master One. They had Typhon versus what's his name, Zeus, which I thought was really, really cool. They had the Melfies for like the all aspect. Even at the end, they teased that Sky Striker Ray versus Sky Striker Rose battle, and I thought that was kind of cool because they have the Animation Chronicles or whatever it is out there, that they have like a manga or something like that for Sky Striker and the Adventures of Ray. But this is kind of be something that I think is really, really cool in the aspect of that Konami is officially taking the mantle on this and not only establishing an animation department for it, but like really getting progress done. I think that this is something that's really cool.
Yeah, with the animation department, I'm actually like very, very hyped. Movie when's our movie? When's our movie?
Yeah, right.
I need a movie.
Did you see it? So you've seen the clips then, right? What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah. No, I like I said, I was definitely just watching that like super early in the morning, but I was extremely excited. The art is honestly pretty good. I really appreciate how it's almost like just true to the card art as well, because like the Melfi art was completely different from the Zeus. Like it seems like they definitely have different teams working on these chronicles, which is very nice, because seeing a change of it is gonna be nice. I mean, just having the same art style for all of it would be horrible, honestly. As someone that like whenever the legendary 6 samurais actually dropped, I went out and just splurged on that deck, honestly, because it was beautiful, and I got like super hardcore into like the Yu-Gi-Oh lore for that. I was like, oh my god, these are like the old versions, or like the younger versions of the ones we had from like way back in the day, and just seeing that actually on the screen getting played out as like a TV show, that was awesome. I mean, you literally see Gozen match. You literally see Gozen match like take place on the screen. Like, that was hype, man.
They showed all of the game cards. Like, Melfi of the Forest got their positioning. Yeah, like you said, evenly matched, and Master Shien, or Grandmaster Shien, whatever his name is.
Yes.
He did his pose. Zeus did his pose. I even know fucking Typhon had Black Whip. That nigga out here just shooting fucking whips at people. I never even knew he had that shit. The fucking ice barrier coming out, Shishula coming out the ice barrier, I thought was really, really cool. That was like a cool like lore aspect that I thought was like, yo, that shit's kind of fire, real talk, even on the ice. You know, like that was just like the way that they had it was like phenomenal. I'm like, yo, this is like, it was 6 minutes long, but it felt like every 30 seconds I was like, it was only 6 minutes exactly. I felt like every 30 seconds it was giving us some more, and I was like, yo, I want more of this. I like the Melfi ones. I like even the ones at the end. They were doing oh shit, I forget the names right now.
I don't even know.
The animations were so beautiful, and it was like they were making me want to go find my cards and be like, damn, compare the cards to the anime and shit like that. Like, yo, it was really hitting it for them. Like 100%. I was wet. I was getting super, super excited over this shit. Like, this shit is nice. I told my boys in the last episode that if they had like a subscription platform for this, I would subscribe all day. I'd pay money to go watch those. That's really cool to watch the lores of it. That'd be insane. That's lit.
Oh yeah, and then like especially when they like kind of promoted that they tease that they're going to go into the actual lore because they did Albaz as well, which they like went very
Oh yes,
detailed
that's
into
what
the
I was talking
Albaz.
about. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Albaz
and
and
because they
Garganta.
intro with that one, so it's kind of hard to remember after everything you get hit with. You're like, oh, this is cool, and then they're like Zeus and Melfi and Samurais. You're like, oh my god, wait a minute, wait,
Yup.
stop. And then they even teased at the Diabell Star, the Visa Starfrost, like so. I think that's gonna be very exciting to see. Like I said, I'm just glad that we actually have like a department that is dedicated to giving us this content with what it seems like to have multiple teams on it working at the same time, you know? So I think this is something they're going to be able to turn out like rather quickly even.
Is this something, because now that I'm thinking about it and pondering it, is this something that Konami should do more of and start to fund more? Or do you think they focus more on the game and kind of leave the animations to like the mainstream powerhouses? Because like now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, all right, this animation shit's cool, but who's gonna pay for this shit? Yeah, Konami is, but Konami's gonna find a way to like hedge their funds somewhere else. So are we gonna have like higher cards now, more entry costs into these tournaments and shit like that to kind of mitigate Konami having this animation department that still hasn't brought us shit but a 6-minute clip yet? Or is there something that they're just going to take the hit on and fund themselves because the streams might overpay? Or like, is this something that they should not even focus on themselves and put in someone else's hands because they got a whole game that they could still make better, yet they're, you know, kind of focusing on this? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think, well, first off, let's just be honest. We can just charge the Duel Links players and they'll fund everything for us. We'll be good, man. Like, just give them another box a month, man. It'll be okay. We'll be good, man. We'll solve world hunger. But like, I understand the worry on that with the funding because I mean, it all has to come from somewhere, right? We saw them shut down quite a few games before they went into Master Duel even, and I think that like they're just like they're focused on Master Duel being their like main game is kind of important. So we're not going to see them cast a wide net on like all these games that they had come out kind of around the same time that were basically failing all except Master Duel. What was the other one? There was like one more that kind of came out like Cross Duel or something. I don't know the name of it.
Oh yeah. It
like,
was Cross Duel, yeah.
Yeah, it's like those are cool, but
you were sitting across from another person and there's like a 4-way duel.
Yeah, perfect time to bring that out after COVID, you know. But like, Master Duel just was a hit, so I think they're just gonna focus on that. We see that they're doing more. I think they're doing like what was that like season 2 or like series 2, series 3 of Rush Duel over in Japan because I think that's actually like popping off over there. Honestly,
It's
like
super popular out there, yeah.
Yeah, not my forte, but hey, if it's working, it's working, and maybe that's bringing it in. But they're also doing the live streams that we're seeing, like, for their big events, and if they actually utilize these live streams correctly, like, maybe even, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to see ads in a live stream necessarily, but I mean, like,
Correct.
that is all funding that is going towards a company that is like producing stuff for us. So if that's something they have to utilize, maybe they have like people that give them money so that they can roll like specific ads during the tournaments even. I mean, that's like a way they could be using the funding. But it's always like weird for me whenever you see things like, you know, Epic Games where they have like their big Fortnite events, or you have like Konami with their big events. It's like when they don't run a stream, like even during the break, you know, like it's like that's like free money on the table that you could have just got for nothing, you know.
With all those eyes on the screen at that point in time,
and like I said, don't run it during the tournaments, but if you're running them in the off times and stuff like that, you have control over that. You're still making some revenue. So I mean, that's
I
just
wouldn't mind
option,
a little logo somewhere on like
Yeah.
a stream that's like there because like it's sponsored or something like that. Like you can go put something in the corner if it's just gonna float around there and make it opaque, but you know, I wouldn't mind that. You know, that's what it takes to get something like our YCSs to stay the same, but as well as get cool projects like this animation department from Konami to kind of dish out for. If that's like the cost of it, I'm fine to play with that. I know there's a cost to play and there's a cost to do business, so you just got to take the what are you okay with taking and what's like a super big detriment and what's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think they're gonna like super hype up. Like, I mean, they already increased the what the cost was to enter the tournaments,
Correct.
didn't they?
Yeah.
So
it
it's
was
like
$20
that's already done.
and then now it's $22.50.
Okay. So it's like we'll see that. I mean, the one thing I would say with a bunch of players like talking about, you know, all the prices and stuff is like I do want to eventually see higher quality pricing for big tournaments just because like that's something I really, you know, hope they do. But I really hope that Konami does focus on these live stream broadcasts that they've been doing. We see EU honestly just has like a phenomenal like showcasing of their like their big tournaments, they put on a show. Like they really do. Their production, there we go. Like the production value that they actually have over in EU is amazing, and I would love to see TCG do a little bit more. Like they definitely try, but even just the announcers and the casters and just the overall energy is not the same as an EU stream. Like they are like legitimately hyped over there, you know. And you know, we used to do streaming for like our locals here, and it's like I don't know. I would really like to see Konami really focus in on the live streams that they are already doing, and that could definitely bring in more revenue for them, bring in more attraction for them, and just hype up the game overall. Because like when we're sitting here watching the stream, other people, my wife or friends or people that are over, they're like, all right, well, what's that? And it's kind of hard to explain them. It's like, oh, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! This is why I watch it. When it's kind of a dull stream, no one's talking. But when it's EU, man, I mean, that stuff's popping off. People are like freaking out, and it's definitely exciting. So.
Oh, absolutely. It gets everyone hyped. It's almost like a crown jewel out there, like real big tournaments. They thoroughly enjoy it, and I think that we should have the same energy.
No, and we definitely should have the same energy. And these are big tournaments, and I mean, and the game, it's so weird because it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't like as popular as like other games, but it's definitely more popular than it used to be. Like I remember when this game was just dead. Like no one played Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, and there just weren't card shops for it. And now it's like, it's all over the place. There's, you can get it anywhere. Well, obviously, I guess if you're in like smaller towns, it's a little bit harder. And I hear that all the time. But I mean, for being like in the city that I'm in, like it used to be like literally be dead. And now there's all these OTS shops around. And it's just nice to see.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And to even add on to that, like it takes a lot from us to kind of put back into the game. Like I know at the end of the day, it's going to take us buying main sets and traveling to these tournaments and attending these events and supporting the things that Konami does in order for us to maintain this game that we play. But as I said earlier, that sometimes is just the cost of business. And if you want to, some people consider this a hobby, some people consider it a lifestyle, some people consider it just life itself. Everyone plays and invests at different levels. So I guess if you can just continue to think of it as, all right, I'm investing in something that I thoroughly enjoy, no matter what the outcome is, even if it's a couple bucks at your next event, even if you got to go pay an extra $3 or $4 at your OTS, what I'm saying, whatever it is, like even if you got to sell a card a little bit higher or buy a little bit higher on like the secondhand market, like you get out what you put in. So, I think that's all of us as a mentality should have. And I don't mind putting in a little bit more for Konami to dish out a little bit more. If they're not gonna dish out shit, then fuck y'all. But if y'all gonna dish out shit like this, I'm definitely cool paying a couple extra bucks if I can. When I drop from this, when I go X3 at this regional, I can go right on my phone and watch a Konami animation on this cool app that shows all my cool archetypes and shit. That I would thoroughly enjoy. So.
Yeah, or even just go into a side event and get a really nice playmat that you just don't have access to unless you're in that side event. That's worth actually like some money, or get yourself like the Rescue Rabbit plushie. Like they're doing a lot. Like they are offering a lot more than people like admit to. And I try to remind people this because like, I mean, I know there's like the whole price discourse right now. I don't even really want to get into it.
Yeah,
but but it's like I try to remind people, and I understand that side. I mean, I really understand what like people want to be able to play the game. I get that, but it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like it's not a race; it's a marathon, And people are used to these race games. Like I need the meta deck now because in 2 months it's going to be gone, and that happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! But our cards are still usable, like forever. Like as long as they don't get banned, we can still use these cards. We still have access to this stuff, and it's just something to be keeping in mind. And then, like you said, like funding the game itself, and that's like why it's very important now more than ever, especially with like the economy and stuff. Like if we don't buy, like if our stores don't buy product from Konami because we don't buy product from the stores, then our stores won't run Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments. And then you're just not going to have Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore at these tournaments. Like, if things really go the way of, like, no one buying product and no one doing that, then, like, the game everyone loves isn't going to be, like, there for everyone to enjoy anymore. You know? So it's, like, I think it is important, like you were saying, like, sometimes it's a little bit more, and you got to pick and choose, like, whether certain cards are worth it or whether you're going to be playing in the meta or not. But at the end of the day, it's it's not like a bad thing, to putting some money into something you enjoy that you get a lot of joy. And even, you go out, you hang out with your friends, like you literally introed with that. It's like, this is something you like, that's more than just a card game. This is like your social interaction.
this is a lot more than
Yeah.
just like Yu-Gi-Oh. So that's
Full
what you're
fucking
funding.
circle, man.
Yeah, that's what you're funding.
No, absolutely. But with that being said, I know we are starting to run out of life points, guys. We've had my man here for at least an hour. I love giving you guys this long form content. Be sure to comment down below in the comment section whether you guys like these longer episodes. If you guys would prefer something shorter to like the half hour to 45-minute mark. If you guys want it longer than an hour, maybe you guys want more to talk about and more to listen to. So tell us down below whether you want us to continue with the length of these podcasts and maybe get you something like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours to listen to. Whatever you guys are into, just be sure to comment down below, and we'll be sure to take it into consideration and take thought, because we love hearing back from you guys, as well as knowing what you guys want to hear. With that being said, we're going to start talking about these sponsored contents before we get out of here again. Once again, Linktree link down in the description below. Click it, join all of our social sites, click follow, subscribe, notification bell, ding, whatever the fuck you guys gotta do. Giveaways, we did 7 last year, hoping to do at least 14, trying to hit for 15 this year. And we're starting off with the Phantom Nightmare box, so be sure to click that Linktree link to join our Discord when we hit 100 followers, or members, I should say. We're going to give away that box to one lucky member to win it and not have to pay a single cent. I'm going to ship it out to you myself, as long as you're in the US or Canada. Also, shout out to Unplugged Gaming for sponsoring the podcast with giveaways like this. Go join their Discord as well in the description, and go check out Brad every Saturday streaming on Twitch at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing things like deck theorying, playing Master Duel. Now that Populous and all his friends are out, doing things like deck crafting and all that stuff, interacting with chat, and we'll also be talking about it, whatever happens on his streams, on our Friday night wrap up. So you might even find yourself on a podcast one of these Friday nights. With that being said, I just want to thank our guest VengefuShadowz for coming out here again and spending some time with us and donating his time to not only us, Semi-Limited, but also you guys, the listeners, and your ears. Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Any shout outs or any final thoughts, anything like that, before we close out tonight?
Well, thank you again for having me on. Honestly, it's always a blast, and it's like the chillest place ever. You're awesome, honestly. Big shout out, man. And then big shout out again to my wife, because she's the greatest. My thumbnail helper, he's awesome. Thug314. Thank you again for all the thumbnails. And then kind of my partner in crime when it comes into like a bunch of the Yu-Gi-Oh meta stuff, and that is Mr. Kodak, and he also does some streaming and YouTubes. But yeah, if you ever want to check out the content from me, it is VengefuShadowz, and that is with a 0WZ on the end, and that's for YouTube as well as Twitter.
That's right. I'll be sure to link it down in the description box below for everyone on all social platforms, whether it be Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, whatever it be, maybe a Google Podcast. It doesn't matter. If you go scroll right down to the description, you will see my man's YouTube page and all of his content right then and there. You can click on it. It's right at the edge of your fingertips. So be sure to follow, like, subscribe to him as well. And with that being said, guys, we are all out of life points. We have hit 0 finally. I am Player X, and you have been listening to the Semi-Limited Podcast. Thank you so much, and good night.